Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Before we dive into today's emotional and heart-touching story, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss another story that speaks to your soul. Today's topic touches something real. When the wife leaves, the husband's house becomes empty, and when the husband leaves, the wife's heart becomes empty. It's not just about separation, it's about the quiet pain, the silent rooms, and the invisible cracks in the heart. Let's explore this together. When a wife leaves, a husband's house becomes empty, and when a husband leaves, a wife's heart. A house and a heart, the two are like two worlds, but built under the shadow of the same love. In the eyes of a husband, a wife is the light of the world, a pair of smiles sitting next to the food, and love sitting silently. So when a wife leaves, the house remains, but it no longer feels like home. On the other hand, for a wife, a husband means security, courage, and a little unwavering shadow. When a husband leaves, a void is created in the heart, which no one can understand, only feel. This relationship is not just love, it is habit, dependence, and the bond of the soul. So when it is lost, what remains is emptiness. But that emptiness is sometimes a silent house, sometimes a silent cry. These words indicate the depth of the relationship, where absence weighs much more than presence. A man remains strong on the outside, but after losing his wife, he silently breaks down inside. Society says, a man does not cry, does not break. He is like a mountain, steadfast, fearless. But no one knows, there is also an ocean inside the chest of this mountain, which silently cries in the tides. When he loses his wife, either on the way to death, in the pain of separation, or in the silence of distance, then a huge emptiness hides behind his face. He smiles, works, takes care of the family. But at night, tears come to his eyes in his bed alone, which no one sees. His wife is not only his companion, she is his habit, peace, and eternal dependence. So when his wife leaves, his mind becomes an empty room, where there is no sound, no light, only the smell of memories floats. This silent pain hides behind his strength, and one day he cries silently, in solitude. A man breaks down, just does not express it. In the house where there was laughter together, now only the cries of silence can be heard. Once this house was the center of life. There were reflections of laughter on the walls, stories of being together and the smoke of teacups. Every evening, happiness was gathered by sitting on the roof, and the nights ended with a continuous story. But today, when you enter that house, what a heavy silence seems to choke your throat. The laughter has been replaced by sounds that suddenly stop. Each house is like a heart that holds back tears. There is no familiar footsteps, no sudden beloved voice that calls out. This house now just stands, bearing signs of life, yet there is no one alive. Silence also speaks, if someone can hear it. And the silence of this house says one thing every day. There was once someone who was in love. When the wife leaves, the husband understands. Love is not a habit, it is a feeling. Having tea together every day, sleeping together, small quarrels, all these gradually become a kind of habit. Then it seems that she is there, she will be there. But the day she leaves, silently or unexpectedly, that day, I understand that habits are not broken, the heart is broken. That is when you understand that the cooking by her hand was not just a taste, it was a touch of love. Her words were not just a sound, it was peace. Then no one else sits on that chair, that room no longer has that smell. The husband then sits alone and learns to understand. He loved, but he did not understand how much. Love is not just the name of being by your side, it is a deep pull of the heart, which can only be felt, cannot be explained. After the wife leaves, the man understands. He did not live by habit, but by love. After losing her husband, the wife realized that he was not just a person, but a shadow by her side every day. From morning to night, that man might not have said much, but his presence was a silent reassurance. The sound of him walking by the kitchen, sitting on the sofa in a tired manner, or breathing in his sleep, altogether, he was the soul of the house. But the day he didn't return, that day, it became clear how much his existence had covered. on whom the days would move forward. He was not just a person, he was a familiar shadow, a daily companion. In his absence, the wife's life seemed to become shadowless. There was sun, there was light, but no shadow. Because that man was a cover that was not visible from the outside, but his influence was felt at every moment. So after losing her husband, the wife understands that love is not just love. Love is a shadow that becomes a companion, which when lost, changes the whole world. Don't assume that a man doesn't cry because he doesn't suffer. His tears are hidden in his heart. A man doesn't cry. There are hundreds of unspoken tears hidden behind this saying. When he suffers, people think he's strong. When he's alone, people think he's used to it. But no one understands how his heart silently breaks, slowly decays. It's wrong to think that his heart doesn't get wet just because his eyes don't shed tears. He endures day after day, without saying a word. His suffering stands like a wall, but nothing is written on that wall. And these unspoken words accumulate, and one day become silent tears, which he feels only in the darkness of the night. He doesn't cry because no one has given him a place to cry. So remember, he who is silent doesn't suffer. Change this thought. Because a man is also human, he also has a heart. And he cries, only without making a sound. A woman's pain is silent, when the beloved one never returns. There was a time when she waited for that man every day. When would the door open? When would the familiar footsteps be heard? When would they sit down and have tea together again? But suddenly one day that waiting stopped. The man never returned. Maybe he had moved away, maybe time had taken him away. A woman then became silent. She did not cry in front of anyone, she behaved normally with everyone, but she broke down silently inside. Her gaze became steady, but her heart continued to cry. The room where she had lived with love now has a silent past. No one sees her pain, but she feels the absence of someone every day. A woman's pain does not cry loudly, it just creates a permanent emptiness in her heart one day. The world falls apart when two people fail to understand each other's place. Love begins with eyes, but the world survives on the ability to see oneself in each other's eyes. When one returns tired but does not find love, the other waits but does not get importance, then that relationship begins to break silently. Sometimes they live in two different worlds even under the same roof. No one understands. Waiting is hidden behind the meat cooked in the afternoon, or the pressure of responsibility is hidden in returning late from the office. If there is no understanding, pride accumulates. And as pride accumulates, it covers love. This wall of misunderstanding one day crushes the very foundation of the relationship. Then both of them suffer, but neither of them knows how to turn to each other again. Because they loved but did not learn to understand each other's position. Just as old clothes stick to the body, so do old people stick to the heart. We buy new clothes, but it's hard to let go of an old favorite t-shirt. Why? Because it's not just clothes, it's a feeling. Similarly, some people come, stay for a while, then get lost in the rush of time. But even when they leave, their touch remains deep in the heart. Suddenly, a song, a walk on an old street, or a smell, suddenly reminds us of them. Then we understand that they are actually still there, just not physically present. Their smile, the look in their eyes, all the things they said or didn't say become the clothes of our memories. Like old clothes, which may not be worn anymore, but once you touch them, comfort comes to the heart. You can't see them anymore, but you can't forget them. They stay silently, but deeply. The husband may be silent, but every old picture burns him. Not everyone has the courage to open an old album. But some people look at it silently, one picture at a time, where the beloved's face is smiling, holding his hand, or standing in the corner of the kitchen making tea. The husband may be tough, busy, reserved on the outside, but when he is alone, he opens those pictures. The eyes do not tear up, because he has become accustomed to holding back tears. But the inside slowly burns. Each frame of the pictures touches a corner of his heart, where no one else is today. The smile in the picture, that familiar smell in the folds of his clothes, the story behind the kitchen, all become just memories, but still live on. and these memories become his biggest pain one day. Because the pictures come back, every day, but that person never comes back. The more anger a wife has in her heart, the deeper her love is. When a wife gets angry, it often turns into silent pride. You may think she is going away. In fact, she wants you to take a step forward. She closes the door in anger, but from inside she hears your footsteps. She may be harsh in her words, but she keeps the dinner warm, knowing you will return. Anger in her eyes, but there is only one desire in her heart. Why don't you understand? A woman's love is not always soft, sometimes it takes a hard form, because she is very involved, very hopeful. The more she loves, the more she breaks, the more she suffers, and from that suffering comes pride, a hoarse voice, anger in her eyes. But it is never an expression of hatred, rather, it is the deepest tone of love. A wife's anger means that she still wants you to stay, that you understand, that you feel. The person who used to sleep next to you every day, suddenly, if you don't have one for a day, the night becomes terrible. Before nightfall, no one might think that sleep can also be lonely. Even if the body is in bed, the mind lies in that empty space, where someone used to breathe. A pillow, which used to be a place to rest one's head, is now like an empty memory. The silence of the house feels like a stone to the ears. The ticking of the clock, the barking of the dog outside, everything seems strangely loud. Sleep doesn't come, because the habit has been lost. The person who used to lie next to you, move lightly, and look for your hand in the middle of the night, he's not there, so today you have to sleep with your hand on your chest. It also happens that you wake up in the middle of the night and keep your eyes next to you, out of habit, but emptiness presses down on your chest. Then you understand that night doesn't just mean darkness, night means being alone, being lost. Leaving doesn't mean the end, sometimes it's the beginning of the greatest realization. Sometimes in life, the passing of something seems eternal, like the departure of a loved one, a broken relationship, or the breakup of a beloved habit. At that moment, it seems, everything is over. Everything is dark, and the heart is empty. But time passes, morning comes after night, and we slowly learn to understand. You know, the person who left may have taught us the most important lesson, to love ourselves, to understand ourselves, to stand tall. Although his departure closes one door in life, it opens another new window. We learn how to walk alone, how to laugh while crying. That's when we feel, even in losing everything, there is something to gain, and that gain is the greatest realization. The person who left remains like our shadow, reminding us with every step, who we are now, and how we have grown. Losing his wife, the husband thinks, if only I could explain love a little more. He might have kept his eyes on the newspaper every morning, and his wife would quietly serve him tea. He might have thought, she knows I love her, but he would never have said it out loud. A small touch, a thank you, or I'm blind without you, these words might have never been said. The wife might have been arrogant, turned her face away from him, and the husband would have silently stared at the wall, just for a little touch. The day that person disappears, the house is no longer a house. From the teacup to the pillow on the bed, everything burns like a memory. And that's when the question comes. Why didn't I explain? Why didn't I tell him how much I needed him? There's no point in keeping love bottled up inside your heart. Because one day suddenly the person you tried to explain might no longer be there. When her husband leaves, the wife thinks, why didn't I understand his silent sufferings? He might have returned from the office every day, with a silent, tired look on his face. The wife thought, this is a man, he stays silent, a habit. But today she understands that his silence meant a lot of unspeakable suffering, unspeakable pressure. His walking style was changing, the color of his smile was fading, the traces of fatigue were clear under his eyes, but his eyes didn't go towards that. We think men are tough, they don't get hurt, they don't break. But now, when her husband is gone, the wife understands she also needed companionship, a little understanding, a little asking, are you okay? And now, an empty bed, a dry teacup, and a chest full of regret. Which only stops at this one question. Why didn't I understand his silent sufferings? A love relationship never ends suddenly, it breaks down slowly, no one notices. First, maybe the habit of not saying anything starts, then staying silent. At some point, saying I love you stops. Days pass, conversations happen only when necessary. Would you like to eat? Go to sleep. But feelings? That disappears silently. Someone's eyes fill with tears, no one sees. Someone's face is filled with disappointment, no one listens. A relationship doesn't break in a day. It breaks at night, when two people lie side by side, but become distant. It breaks day by day, through small misunderstandings, and the resentments accumulate to a mountain. And one day, at a certain time, someone might say, I can't take it anymore. Then from the outside, it seems, it suddenly broke. But really? It had ended long ago. It's just that we didn't admit it. Husband and wife are not names, they become each other's habits. It is difficult to survive if they lose them. In the beginning of love, there may have been eye contact and 1,000 words. But with time, that love turns into a silent habit. Someone wakes up early, some butter their bread less, some fix their hair before telling them to go to the office. Those small moments become the rhythm of life. Then being by each other's side becomes being. And the day one is lost, suddenly nothing is normal. 2 spoons of sugar no longer fall into the cup of tea. One side of the bed remains cold. No one asks on the phone, did you eat properly? That's when you understand, this person was not just a companion. This was a lifelong habit, which once broken, cannot be rebuilt. People who leave don't just go away, they leave some pieces in the heart. A smile, a proud look, a word, tell me how I'll live without you. All these things remain in the mind, even after they leave. If someone is very dear to you, leaving doesn't mean going away. They remain in daily habits, in old things, in a song that suddenly plays. Their glasses lying in the corner of the room, or the smell on the pillow. As if to say, I'm not completely lost. They sit in the heart like an old letter. That can never be thrown away, but every time you see it, your eyes get wet. There are some memories, which come back to you again and again, just when you thought you had moved on. And that's when you understand that the people who have left actually remain. As some pieces of them, that play in the heart forever like a silent melody. The wife may be gone, but the husband still gets 2 cups of tea every day. In the morning, he opens the window curtains a little and looks at the sun. Then he lights the stove, just as he used to have 2 cups, and still does today. He pours tea in one, leaving the other empty, as if she would still sit next to him. While drinking tea, he looks at the chair where he used to sit and read the newspaper. Her smelly veil lies silently. Sometimes he takes it in his hand and wipes his eyes. The man knows that his wife will never return. Still, habits, they don't break in a day. That empty cup is not just a cup. It is a witness to 1,000 mornings spent together, where love was expressed not with words, but with a cup of tea. Today, even though his wife is gone, a cup still lies beside him. Like silent love. Even though her husband is gone, her wife still smells his clothes, as if he is coming back to life a little. His last worn shirt still hangs in a corner of the closet. It has accumulated a little dust, but sometimes the wife puts her face on it. She closes her eyes and remembers the evenings when she rested her head on his shoulder. His touch, his breath, are still lingering in the smell of the clothes. Although not every day, there are some nights when the wife cannot sleep. Then she gets up and hugs the clothes. If someone sees her, they will say, "This is madness." But this madness is love. These clothes are a small way to find the man who is no longer here. Sometimes, a single smell becomes the hope of regaining a whole existence. The husband is gone, but his memory is still alive in the wife's heart. In the folds of a shirt, in the shelter of a little smell. Thanks for watching this heart-touching video. If this story moved you or made you think deeply, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And remember, real love is rare, and even rarer is the courage to protect it.